Welcome everybody to Old Roommates. Today on the show, we revisit 1983's A Christmas Story. So, be sure to drink your Ovaltine and check out this all-new episode.
Welcome everyone to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
And it's our Christmas episode.
Yay!
Our holiday episode.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays, everyone. In the 5 years, we've been doing this for 5 years.
Yeah.
This is the first time we are revisiting a movie and not comparing to...
Oh my God, that's right.
You know, half-hour movies.
I forgot all about that. I forgot.
How could you forget that?
I mean, like, you're reminding me, but I mean, I did forget, like, that this was a conscious, that we were like, oh, we can't even do any more Christmas specials.
So
we watched them all.
Yeah.
Almost.
Do we remember all of them? Not to get too...
You name it, we watched it. I mean, like, Grinch
versus Rudolph.
Rudolph versus Grinch.
Right?
Yeah. Then it was...
And then it was...
Charlie Brown versus Frosty.
Yes.
Then it was the Miser Brothers versus
was it Rudolph Shiny New Year?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
The Miser... Yeah, without
then...
Santa Claus versus Rudolph's Shiny New Year. And then last year, it was two terrible ones. It was like The Little Drummer Boy... versus, what was the other one?
Twas the Night Before Christmas.
Twas the Night Before Christmas.
With the mice.
Oh my God.
You check them all out. They're always
really
among my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I think, honestly, the Rudolph versus Grinch is probably my favorite out of, and this is a strong statement, because what do we have? Over, it's like 230 episodes at this point? I don't even know.
Yeah.
5 years of doing this, I think that is my favorite episode.
Wow. That was early on.
Yeah, it was our first Christmas episode, so.
Oh my gosh. Well,
anyway,
this time around.
But this time around, yes, we revisited A Christmas Story with starring Peter Billingsley.
Yes.
As Raphie from 1983. So we are going to begin.
Which is 40 years ago. You hate when I say that, but it's true.
The 80s are 20 years ago. Everyone knows that.
This was released November 18th, 1983.
Yes, and so we are going to begin this episode as we always do. And Brian, tell us about the first time you saw A Christmas Story.
So this was absolutely probably an HBO thing or a rental. I didn't see it in the movie theater. I know that for sure. And I had heard that people loved this movie. So I was still like, so 83, at that point I was 11, but I probably didn't see it until I was like a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
But by that point, I really, like, people were like, oh my God, A Christmas Story. It's so funny. It's so funny. It's so funny. And there's maybe just too much hype.
Yeah, I hate when that happens. It's happened to me with several movies.
And I just felt so bad for this kid, for the lead character. And maybe it's because...
You were about the same age?
No. So he's 9.
Oh,
and I guess I was probably more like 13 when I saw it. Or 12, 13. And I just remember feeling like, oh my God, everyone's mean to him. Like, people are mean to him. I feel bad. He's being bullied. His parents don't understand him. Santa Claus kicks him down a slide. Like, it was just one thing after another. I'm like, what? Where's the funny part about this? I was hypersensitive to the plight of this kid whose name is... Raphie. And I was not a fan. Now, in subsequent years, they show it all the time on TBS. And... in little snippets, I've since enjoyed. But my very first take, but I had not seen it in a very long time. But my first take was, thumbs down, if you will.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
How about you?
So, I don't remember the exact first time I watched it, but I do remember watching this with my sisters. And it was on TV. And I remember hearing about... how funny it was. Probably not to the extent that you did.
Yeah.
So we were excited to watch it. And we laughed our asses off.
Oh, nice.
From beginning to end. We thought this movie was hilarious. I was probably like 16, 17. So it might have been that difference. It was just a little different, I think, being older watching it.
Okay.
And Renee was a couple years younger, but we just thought it was hilarious.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I loved this movie. See, I've seen it since.
Yeah.
And enjoyed it not quite as much as I had as a, teenager in the first time. Because I think a lot of it is sort of that, not shock, but like, the first time seeing something is funny. Like the foot going in the kid's face.
Yeah.
The shock factor is going to make it a little funnier.
Yeah.
I don't know, I can't speak today. Anyway, we have it at home, actually. But we haven't really watched it in the past, like, I don't know, maybe 10 years from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Emily's not a big fan of it. So she doesn't really get the humor.
Okay.
Which is interesting because, she's 15 now. She hasn't given it a shot in a few years. But she was probably around your age, maybe when the first time she saw it. Like, your age now.
Yeah.
But anyway. So I wonder if the humor is lost a little bit when you're closer to the kid's age.
Maybe.
If
you
you're
just
in,
feel bad for him.
elementary school and,
Yeah.
have that sort of things happening to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember laser tag? Like,
Yes.
you could buy, like, your own thing with a thing you wear on your chest and, like, all that. And I remember I wanted laser tag and I got it and it just sucked. Yeah. But, I digress. But, like, yeah, there's always that thing where it's, like, it's always the toy that you really want that you might not be getting. Your parents don't understand, blah, 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 blah. But I think maybe I was too close to his age the first time I saw it. But anyway, this is really quick. This is directed by Bob Clark, who we know from Porky's. He directed Porky's, which is episode 86.
Oh my gosh. Another one of my favorite episodes.
So, and Gene Shepard, of course, wrote this. It's based on his book. But he has a lot of writing, I think, to pull from. He also narrates this movie.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that if you knew who the narrator was, because I never looked that up.
So,
let's dive right in. So when did you watch it?
So I actually watched it twice this week because the first time I watched it with Carl, he hadn't seen it before. And so also Ferris was on my lap. I didn't want to pause it and take notes. So then I'm like, I'll just watch it again. So I actually watched it this morning again. So I watched it a few days ago and I watched it this very morning. Can I just ask
before you continue, did Carl like it as a first time viewer as an adult?
He did. He was laughing more than me, and I will say, he loved the little brother. That was his favorite. Although Carl
is Carl a younger brother?
Yes, he is.
Yep. That makes sense.
But here we go, diving right in. Holy shit! It's a negative.
Wowza!
Oh my God, I know, and
you watched it twice?
Yeah. God damn! There's so much narration. Zip it. I think through this podcast, we watched a lot of movies with narration over the years. And we always say, at least typically, we allude to the fact that, like, typically, a lot of narration means it's not a great script. Or that your characters can't somehow convey what you're trying to say. We've seen it with The Prince of Tides.
Yeah. A lot.
We saw a double narration, quite frankly, with Indecent Proposal.
Right.
And in most movies, it's often unnecessary. Now, with this movie, there are moments where it's like you kind of need to know a little bit more than what's on screen. But this guy never shuts up. And I will say that's a middle-aged lens thing for me because when I was younger, I loved the narration because it ties into my feeling that people were mean to Raphie.
Yes.
Because if, as a viewer, you know how important this is to Raphie, this BB gun, and so the narration just supports that and fuels that. But as a grown-up, you're like, dude, oh my God, put a socket. Like, have some faith in your actors.
Yes. So I agree. It didn't bother me as much as you.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. There's a lot of narration. And I think it was necessary in certain parts, for sure.
Yes.
The background of, like the bully's background. Or, even like when he said fudge, right? But it wasn't
that
fudge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also my favorite scene, and we're jumping, but my favorite scene needs narration, which is when he says that Schwartz told him the swear word. You had to know that it was the dad that that he learned it
Yes.
from. And you needed narration for that.
Yes. So
Yeah.
there's certain parts
Certain
when
things,
you
yeah.
need it. But yeah, you're right. It was a little bit too much. We get it. You wanted the Red Rider. We get it. You didn't have to just keep on keeping on.
Let me give you an example.
Okay.
The lamp scene. This is just one of many unnecessary narrations, okay? It's like, my mother was about to make a brilliant maneuver that lives in the folklore of Cleveland Street to this very day. It's like, she shut the lamp off. The thing is, though, it's just unnecessary. And then they shoot down the BB gun
But I
idea.
think the brilliance of that mom, it wasn't that she shut the lights off. It was that she said it was to save electricity.
Yes, yeah.
And then you pan to the house and every other light
What is going on, Christina, with
Is
your
that me?
phone?
Oh, I
Yes,
thought it
it's
was
your
you.
phone.
I don't know. I'm popular. What can I
Oh
tell
my
you?
God. Well, it won't stop.
Well, maybe there's an emergency.
Christina was about to do something.
Something. Yeah.
And the other scene is that, so he gets shot down with the BB gun at the kitchen table early on. And the mom's like, you'll shoot your eye out. Da, 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 da. And then it's, he's like, parents won, kids zip. And it's like,
Yeah.
enough. Come on. Like,
Are these direct quotes from the book? I
that's,
read?
of
Like,
course,
yeah,
they have
so-
to be. Yeah.
You know,
It just doesn't
I
need
guess-
it. It didn't need it.
yeah, I feel like it was a plug for his book, almost all of these things. And yeah, you're right. Sometimes it would have been more effective if he didn't continuously
Yes.
say these things.
Just once in a while. Once in a while is plenty.
Yeah.
Peter Billingsley, A+. I
really
thought he was fantastic. I will say it's a now and then thing where it's like, I think that maybe that's why I felt bad for him. Like when I was watching this, I was like, oh my God, I really get why he wasn't crazy about this then. He's a really good actor.
Yeah, he really is.
And he goes for like the scene where he's beating up the bully.
Oh my God, it was so good.
And emotional.
Totally.
And he goes from crying to anger to guilt to crying to being nervous, getting in trouble with his dad,
Oh
to
my
his
God.
mom
all
covering
of it is
for him.
so good.
There's not a false moment, I think, with his performance. I think
agree.
he's really, really strong.
He's so strong. That's
so
my
good in this.
favorite scene.
Yeah.
And honestly, this time was the first time that when he is beating up the kid and his mom comes.
Yeah.
And he's so full of anger
Yeah.
and she pulls him off and then he just like bursts into tears.
Yeah.
I got choked up by
Yeah.
that.
Me too.
That never happened to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, that is such a sweet scene.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. This kid was excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent in this movie. And was he in every scene?
Just
I mean,
yeah, it's about him.
I
yeah,
think he was in
just
every
about.
scene.
Yeah. I do think it was funny that in the dream sequence, he absolutely wants to kill people with this gun.
Yes.
I mean, that's a middle-aged Lens thing. It's like, oh, he really wants the gun. He really wants the gun. It's like, oh, that's cool. You think he's going to shoot, like, cans off the fence. No,
but he's
going
actually
to shoot
killing
criminals.
I will say.
Black Bart. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like you enjoyed that dream sequence.
No.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, my biggest negative of this movie
Yeah.
is all of the fantasy sequences.
Oh, really?
There's 3 of them.
Yeah.
Is that one?
The soap poisoning.
The soap poisoning.
Yeah.
And the teacher one. It was like when she's
Yeah.
grading the page, she's like, A++++.
Yeah.
I did not like any of those dream sequences.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know what it was. I don't know. Maybe because he overacting probably as a direction.
Yeah.
But I felt like it took away from the whole movie. I don't need to know what his fantasy is about this gun. Like, I just didn't need to know it.
They
Interesting.
didn't bother me.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious how she kept making the pluses after the A. I thought that was
Yeah.
cute. I love that teacher. I didn't write down the
She
actress's
was really
name,
good,
but I
yeah.
loved her. And that scene, this is again a middle-aged Lens thing, but it's like, unfortunately, the criminals, most of them were black. And also, at the end, there's the Chinese restaurant, and there's like some sort of humor at the expense of the Chinese
Yes.
performers.
Yeah, I wrote that as a middle-aged Lens.
And the
too.
only other black people you see, besides a couple of kids in class that don't get any lines, are the carolers in the very beginning. And it was like, I understand this takes place in a different time, but really? Like, and then when they cut back to in the dream sequence to the dead criminals and they're like black or people of color, it's like, I didn't need to see that final shot of this dream sequence.
Yeah.
So but again, it's a middle-aged lens thing. But yeah, that was not awesome. Mm-hmm. Not a great choice.
Your favorite woman is in this.
Yeah, so it's really funny about Melinda Dillon. I'm not usually a fan of hers. Loved her in this.
This is a perfect role for her.
Perfect.
This is her role.
Yep. She died just this year. She died in January. Yeah, she was 83. She was nominated for 2 Academy Awards, one for Absence of Malice and one's for a movie you've never seen, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Oh, interesting.
But she's great in this.
She's so good in this.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed her as well. She's very, 50s housewife.
Very real.
Very real.
It made me long for a time when parents still yelled at their kids.
Right?
Was that refreshing to you?
Oh, so refreshing.
Oh my God. When she's like, guys, get down here for dinner.
Yeah.
Right.
Screaming,
Screaming at the kids.
Yep.
Like, I loved that the parents were very no nonsense. Like, no, you're not just like mouthing off. You are not mouthing off. You are not just saying whatever comes to your mind. Don't speak.
You got that they love. I mean, they love their kids.
The family is completely real.
Perfect.
It feels so real.
He was hilarious as well. I loved him, but she was great. I loved that she, she's obviously has the brains behind, but she can't show that she has the brains. Yeah. What was that one of the first ones? Oh, when the father is doing the crossword puzzle, whatever. Yeah. The Lone Ranger's nephew's horse. She's like, Victor. He's like, how'd you know that? She's like, well, everyone knows that, huh? Dying. Yeah. I thought that was great. But I loved that she was so real.
Completely real.
Loved your kids.
The best thing.
No nonsense.
We watched a lot of her movies for this podcast.
Yes.
Harry and the Hendersons, Tu Wong Fu. Oh my God.
There's a few of them.
A few of them. A few more, too, that we've watched. This is by far my favorite
for sure.
performance of hers. So good in this. From there, we go to the iconic my next note is with the tongue sticking scene. This movie, to its credit, has a lot of really memorable scenes. But it's a pro and a con, because I said to Carl, he's like, what'd you think? And I was like, it's not much of a story. Like, it's really more vignettes. It's all vignettes. And I think, though, that is a testament to its longevity. Mm-hmm. Because this is a total movie you can just have on in the background.
Yes.
You don't have to invest. So many of these scenes work on their own.
Absolutely.
And the only through line is this hunt for the BB gun.
Right.
This longing. So, it makes perfect sense, but yet, as a full movie, as a middle-aged person sitting down for a film, it fell into the cons for me.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think, yes, I agree. They're all kind of vignettes or whatever.
Yeah.
There's one scene when the mom's dressing the kids to get out, and the kid can't put his arms down. Cracked me up. One line I've seen this movie a bunch of times, and I never heard this line before. My kid looked like a tick about to pop. Oh, my kid brother. Sorry.
Yeah, kid brother.
My kid brother looked like a tick about to pop.
And then she's like, "You can put your arms down at school."
Yeah, he's like all upset.
That is a parent. That's a real thing. Like, I remember. Listen, I grew up in the 70s.
Yep.
Yeah. No one is giving you any concern about that. No. You should be lucky.
Her concern is to keep
you
him warm.
And so you don't get sick, so you have to stay home from school.
That's right. That's the big goal right
Deal
there.
with it at school. Let it be the teacher's problem.
I said Flick, he's a pretty good actor too.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, he was great.
Scott Schwartz, I believe is his name. Remember him from The Toy?
Yes.
Do you remember him from his porn career, Christine?
Yeah. That was a trap. Yes.
But he went into porn.
Yes.
Just like we talked about Fright Night recently. He also went into that. The supporting actor, Evil Ed, also went into porn.
Hey,
yeah. Because I was like, whatever happened to Scott? What's his name? Oh my God.
Scott Schwartz.
Is that his name in real life?
Yeah.
Oh, because it's Flick in the movie. Scott.
Because
there's a Schwartz. Jesus Christ. There's another kid named
There's
Schwartz.
another kid named Schwartz, yes.
So Flick is Scott Schwartz. Schwartz would go into porn. But, yeah, he is fantastic.
Yes.
Completely believable with that tongue-sticking scene.
Yep.
And I also liked his acting with the bully. Like,
Yes.
he's, like, afraid to walk away from the bully. And the other kids are like, we have to go to school.
Right.
And the kid's, like almost afraid to,
yes.
walk away. Yeah.
Well, and I liked the bullies, too.
Yeah,
I thought
great,
the bullies were
very
great.
good acting.
I thought the bullies were perfect casting. Like, they were believable as kids.
Yeah.
But they were totally believable as bullies, too.
Yes.
Like, with the braces and stuff.
Yep.
Like, just scary looking. And I loved, like, the interaction between the two of them.
Yep.
The punching and stuff like.
Oh, and just great how when he was like, I'm going to tell my dad.
Yeah.
I did love how they skipped the dares. I thought that was really funny. Like triple
Yes.
dog dare you. Some of these things are so memorable.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, they're well done. They're well acted. They're funny. And most of them they're very relatable.
Mm-hmm.
You really, and I loved the fact that we've talked about this before in this podcast. I loved the fact that it is in the 50s. Like, it's placed in the 50s. Because it doesn't age,
It's
right?
true. Right.
It's just sort of evergreen in that time span.
Yeah.
And it's totally relatable.
Mm-hmm.
Totally relatable. My mother has not had a hot meal in 15 years.
I know. I felt bad not seeing.
But it's so true. My mother, same
always
thing,
getting
right?
up. Yeah.
She was always the last one to sit down. Everybody was already finished by the time she had her first bite of food. And it was cold.
You saw Peggy Sue got married, right?
Yes.
Remember that scene when she goes back in time and that's the 60s and she's like, and the mother's running all around the kitchen and Peggy Sue's like, Mom, sit down. And her mother literally says, you want me to sit?
Yeah. Huh?
Oh.
They
Let's
bring in
see.
the lamp and a big box.
Yeah.
It's fragile everywhere.
Before that, though,
Oh,
I
right.
think it's the teacher with the teeth. All the kids have the
teeth. Put it.
Ira, the teacher is great. I love this like balance of like the energy and the enjoyment of the kids thinking they're playing this hilarious prank, and the teacher being like, "Yeah, kid, it's enough." And then she just puts them in the drawer with all the other toys.
And I love that the joke wasn't even that good. It was like, oh, they're all just gonna put fake teeth in. Like, that's the big thing.
But the joy.
But they put it in her hand.
I know, gross.
That was gross.
But at the same time, like it's so funny because they think they're being like so naughty,
right?
And then the teacher's like being so stern. It's like, this is hilarious that there was a time in schools where that was like the big infraction,
right?
Like, oh, you
that
kids,
was the big thing.
That's enough. It's like a teacher would love a prank like that nowadays.
Right?
Oh my God.
So true.
Okay.
So
Go ahead, sorry. Your next note.
No. It was just when they bring the box in, and it says this side up, and they bring it in, it's up, and then they put it on its side. Like, oh my gosh, so funny, so funny.
And to your point, for Gile, and the mom says, I think it says fragile. Yeah, it's like it's to your point about like
she does that a lot.
Like,
she does that a lot.
Him. Yeah.
All the plugs in the outlet. Totally relatable. I remember growing up, you had like 7 different plugs in one little outlet. Even just the narration from him during this was annoying.
Yes.
When he's talking and he's like...
The soap types with the... Oh, sorry.
Oh, that. Yeah. Well, this was... the entire neighborhood was turned on by the soft glow of electric sex in the window.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing I had a little trouble with the narration.
Mm-hmm.
It was confusing because it was supposed to be in his voice, but it's an adult male voice. Mm-hmm. So obviously he's thinking back on it. But he's saying things that a young child wouldn't necessarily say.
Mm-hmm.
So you're confused. Like, is this the adult saying this or is it the child thinking this?
Yep.
That's where I had a problem with that. With this like especially like this line here.
Yeah.
I had a problem with that. When he says fudge... Mm-hmm. And then he says, but it wasn't fudge.
Yeah.
That made more sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's explaining what happened in the past.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's part of the problem that I had with that.
You're exactly right, and sometimes it does. He's speaking in real time as Ralphie, but he is older. And then other times he's like, I was familiar with da 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 da. And it's and he does go back. So it's just inconsistent, and it's way too much of it this time around. For me, I did love the mother's scream in the car when you're like, guess what Ralphie just said? She's like, what? And she screams.
And then the woman screams on the phone when she tells her.
She's like, well, guess what Ralphie just said? No, he said, no. She's like, well, do you know where he heard it from? She's like, probably from his father. Yeah. And she's like, no. And she gets defensive. She's like, no, he heard it from your son. What? What?
And then you hear him getting
beaten.
Oh, my God. Like, what did I do? What did I do, Mom?
Oh, the sweet sounds of child abuse. And he's like, what's going on? Oh, my God. All the screaming. And she, like, hangs up the phone. Oh, God, yeah.
Fudge, the queen mother of dirty words.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I didn't like the narration about the soap types that he's tasted before.
Not necessary.
And also...
Not necessary.
Again, and then the little Orphan Annie decoder thing. It's like the decoder scene is funny, but it's completely inconsequential to the story of the BB gun. And again, it just becomes another vignette. Yes, it is very funny. But it's like when he's like, be sure to drink your Ovaltine. He's like, son of a bitch. Like, yeah, it's funny, but again, it's like there's just not much of a story here.
It was not necessary.
It could have been called like memories of Christmas or scenes of, it's like a Christmas story requires a story.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the blood with the bully.
Oh my gosh,
oh my God, I loved it.
It was so good. That scene is so underrated. Like the acting, everything about that scene was great. It was so real, and you felt his frustration, and oh my gosh, all of it. And then he was so afraid. Like you said, all those emotions. Yeah. He breaks his glasses. No, wait, he doesn't.
No, they fall off.
They fall off. Yeah. Right. He breaks them later.
Yeah.
But yes, excellent.
When they go to see Santa, I completely forgot about that weird kid in line.
I completely forgot about him too.
I like the Tin Man.
But why is the Wizard of Oz prancing around? I never understood that.
No, I don't know.
I don't understand why they were like in this movie at all. Like it's not
1939.
No, it's like what's going on?
Yeah,
it's so weird that they were there. But yeah, the kid in the line. I really loved the whole vibe of seeing Santa. The long freaking line.
What?
The evil elves.
Has that ever happened to you in life when you're like, oh, here's the line?
Anytime I've gone to Disney or anything like
that. But there's someone like, no, I'm sorry, the line is open.
Oh.
I've done that before, and you're like,
it's like,
holy fuck. Because you're like, oh, what luck, the line's not that bad.
Look, it's not too bad.
The person's like, actually, this is like part 2 of the line.
Oh my God. Yeah, Disney's famous for that kind of stuff.
But also, what was so funny about that, in a very minor way, is like, the parents were gone forever.
Well, Matt said...
They thought it was a shorter line.
Yes, Matt said it's a good thing it was a long line. Because they would have been waiting forever.
Shits. Yeah,
but, they had to have time to go shopping, though.
I suppose.
But I loved like the evil elves and how Santa's just kind of annoyed. You get it. In a child's eyes. So it's a little inconsistent, right? Because the child would see Santa as like jolly or whatever. But as an adult watching it, it's like so damn funny. It's like, oh yeah. Yeah. And then actually even just getting that eye view of they get lifted up and spun around and plopped on the lap and just freezing and all that. And I really feel like when he started halfway down the slide and then having to stopping it and crawling up, I think I laughed harder as a child in that scene than in the entire movie. I thought it was so freaking funny. And then when the foot pops him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just thought it was the funniest scene as a kid.
Yes, and this was one of my favorite, funniest scenes watching it as an adult. I wrote LOL, big letters, and I wrote, he stops the slide to ask, like, it's so great. And that's one take where it's like, he stops, like, and it's, just the way it's directed is really cute. He turns his head back. And but what's even funnier to me is when he does go down the slide and he just lays in the snow. Yeah. And it's the point where when his parents do come back, he's still in the snow.
Yes.
Like, he's
yes.
so defeated. It's amazing. It's really funny.
Yeah, it is. It's a great scene. It's a really good scene.
Darren McGavin, who plays the dad, he's so great. Unfortunately, though, this time around, like, it's pretty one note, and it's a lot of yelling, and that got
It's
a little.
lot of I mean, there's a little bit of other, like, a little bit of charm there. I mean, he gets all excited with the lamp, like, you see that side of him. He's so proud of himself. I like when he has to change the tire, and Ralphie comes out before he says the F word.
Yeah.
You see
Shades.
a lot of that.
Some shades,
pride,
fine.
a little bit at the end
With the actual BB gun is
with
very,
that, but even before that, when poor Ralphie gets those PJs, the bunny pajamas, and he's just sitting next to his wife, like, oh. But I think it's because, especially back in the 50s, right? They had the roles.
Yeah.
They had certain roles, and they knew where they couldn't step, right? Yeah. And he's just like so embarrassed for his son. He's like, oh.
Yeah.
I liked seeing all of that kind of like when he's not center stage, seeing him. Mm-hmm. I really liked that. And then, of course, when he gets the BB gun, that was really sweet.
Although he loads it in the living room.
I know.
Never. I would never allow that.
Well, back then.
And he's also way too gleeful, like loading the bullets and or the BBs or whatever.
Well, have you done this before? He's like, yeah. When have you used a BB gun before?
It was sweet how the dad kept saying, be careful. You know, it's like, try not to ruin the vibe, but also like, careful now, be careful.
I love that. It's like one of my favorites,
Yeah, and then thank God the mother was like, outside. Yeah.
Yes. What's next?
And then to be honest, I don't have too many other notes. I just wrote, like, you know, again, going to the Chinese restaurant, I wrote yikes.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know.
Didn't age well.
I
honestly feel like that part of the movie wasn't even necessary. The dog's coming and eating the chicken. Like, I feel like it should have ended that morning.
Yeah.
Right?
It didn't, and the ending is very what I wanted to do, I mean, although it wouldn't have been his memory, but when the parents are just spending that quiet moment in front of the tree, I didn't need to hear more narration from Ralphie. And the narration was so bad. Here's the last line of the movie. You ready? The greatest gift I ever received, or would ever receive. Gradually, I drifted off to sleep, praying ducks on the wing and getting off spectacular hip shots. And then it ends. That's it. I'm like, not necessary. Like, I don't
not
need
a great ending for a Christmas movie.
You're dreaming of shooting ducks and shooting people. Like, it's just, like, weird. It's like, I get it. Like, I mean, it's enough. Isn't he sleeping with the BB gun? It's enough.
I think it would have been nicer to have... I mean, I did like the scene itself. Mm-hmm. You're right with the narration. But just, you know, like that calm, like, sitting by the tree.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
All he wanted was the BB gun. And he got it. End of story. End of story. Oh, wow.
Any more notes?
That's really it. I will say, so this has been shown in marathon form annually on TNT since 1997. Wow. And it's been shown on TBS since 2004. But yeah, and they show it all day long.
Yes, I remember that happening. Yes. And again, it's like what you said. It's a good movie to have on over and over and over again.
Because you have to pay attention.
It's all like these little vignettes.
Little snapshots of Christmas. So the big question, more, less, or about the same?
To be honest, I actually think I liked it a little bit more. So it's hard to compare to the first time I watched it, right? Because the first time I watched it, I thought was just hilarious, and it was amazing. Over the years, we've seen it since, and again, like vignette kind of situations here and there. And this was really the first time I had sat down to watch it from beginning to end. And I think I really appreciated it more. I feel like over the years, it's been sort of almost boring or predictable or whatever, but sitting from beginning to end, it pulled it a little more together for me. So I actually liked it less from when I was a child, but more from, 10 years ago or 15 years ago.
Very interesting.
Yeah. What about you?
I liked it more from when I was a child, because I remember I just felt bad for Ralphie all
the time.
Right.
But
I'm going to be honest, I still wasn't, like, madcap crazy in love with this movie. I wasn't laughing every minute or at every situation. I do think the acting is much stronger than I remembered. The narration is much.
The acting was great, yes.
But the narration is much more annoying, so it's probably the same. I'm gonna say the same. Probably all balances out. But I was gonna say the same. I have 2 match games.
Well,
and I'm not sure which one to do.
All right. Well, you can give it some thought, but because I have a little something to add here,
which
I thought was really interesting. So Peter Billingsley, he, I believe, should be known as like the King of Christmas.
Okay.
He must be very excited around Christmas time. Around, November, he must be like, all right, it's Christmas time. Not only is he in the Christmas Story, he's also an elf.
Oh.
Did you know that?
No, I did not.
He's like one of the elves in Elf.
Okay.
He's also in 4 Christmases.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
He's in A Christmas Story 2. As the adult Ralphie, which I had not seen.
No, me neither.
And he's in the lesser known Christmas with the Campbells.
The Campbells?
So,
funny. I heard
but he's literally in 5 Christmas movies.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Nice. Good for him.
So
he's so good in this.
He is so good in this. So I have a match game. Do you want me to do my match?
Do yours first, because maybe one will
you...
cancel. Yeah, it'll inspire.
Right, where did I write it down? Okay, Ralphie.
Yeah.
He doesn't really know when to stop.
Oh no.
Okay, first he asks for a BB gun, and then the following year he asked for blank.
Oh gosh, there's so many. Ding.
Finally.
I wasn't sure. I looked at it. I was like, is this how I feel?
There, just
I wasn't sure. I was zoning out.
I'm waiting for him to ding. All right, ding. All right, so Ralphie didn't really know when to stop. First he asks for a BB gun, and the following year he asked for...
a machine gun.
Not bad, not bad. I said hand grenades.
All right, well...
Did that help you decide?
Yes.
Good.
Speaking of never learning a lesson...
Oh, boy.
Well, Flick never really learned his lesson about accepting a dare.
Oh, boy.
Years later... he was known for getting his blank stuck in a vacuum cleaner.
What should I write?
It's between two answers for me. Flick never really learned his lesson besides accepting a dare. Years later, he got his blank stuck in a vacuum cleaner.
His penis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that might be in one of his porns. Who knows?
Right. That's what I was thinking. So yeah, I also put dick. But the crazy thing is, my next door neighbor when I was growing up, Eugene.
What?
Gene. I won't say his last name out of respect for the family.
It.
No. It was the most bizarre thing. You'll have to ask my mom about this, but his mom and my mom would literally have conversations over the fence kind of thing.
Yes.
And she was laughing and she's like, "Oh my gosh, D." Everyone calls my mom D. She's like, "You're not gonna believe what Gene did the other day." Yeah. She's like, "I walked in."
She walked in on it?
Yeah. And he had his penis in the vacuum cleaner.
Oh
tube.
My.
Yeah. Yep.
And she walked in on it.
Yep. How do you not just throw yourself out a window?
Holy shit.
When your mom walks in
did
that.
She continue to be friends with him after that?
His mother?
Oh,
this is the mother. The mother walked in
I thought
on her
son.
son.
Your mother walked in.
God, no! Oh my God, no! This is what happened. You don't pay attention.
My poor D.
Oh my God, no! The mother walked in on Gene
God.
with his penis in the vacuum cleaner.
Oh,
and that was like the
gosh.
urban legend of the neighborhood. And then she walked in. He couldn't It basically got stuck. And
and I'm sorry. Okay, I am not a male. I do not have a penis. I can't imagine that would feel good.
No.
Right? I mean, he didn't turn it on or anything, right? Or did he turn it on?
He turned it on.
He turned it on?
It sucked. He got sucked to it.
Oh!
But it's like,
God.
it's very different than a blowjob. I
Oh,
mean, maybe in his
come
mind,
on.
he was a couple years older than me, so he probably was like at that age where it's like, I'm going to put my penis in a bunch of stuff.
Oh my gosh. That is crazy.
Oh my. All
Good
allegedly,
Lord.
of
All
course.
right.
All allegedly.
All allegedly. Who knows?
Well, Christina, listen.
Yes.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too. There's still a few more days. You shopping
Yeah.
all
Any
finished?
big plans? No. So I'm gonna be
Still a
honest.
few more days.
I mean, it's like my family has leaned into, and I completely celebrate this idea of the Christmas grab.
Yes.
So we'll do
We've
things
been
for like
doing that for years.
do it for like the little kids, but everyone else is the Christmas grab, and I think it's so much more fun.
Yes.
It's just because what do you really need? Like
Exactly.
we don't
Anything I need, I just buy.
Right.
At this point in my life.
Right. I think people become more and more difficult to buy for.
Especially if it's someone that I mean, I know it's family, whatever, but you don't know what they have. You don't know
That's right.
what they want
into,
or what they're
yeah.
into and things like that. It's really, really difficult.
Yeah.
It's, so, yeah.
At least
I
the
think
grab,
I like
you
that
can
idea.
you might end up with something that you actually
Is it like
need.
a Yankee swap?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we do
Yeah.
too. Although
So.
we do, okay, I know this is a long episode, but we're doing something a little different this year.
Oh, let's hear it.
My niece purchased, because we've done this for years, the Yankee swap for years and years and years. So last year, my sister Jackie, her family did this for immediate family, and it was so much fun. They decided we're going to just do it for the whole family.
Mm-hmm.
So what they do is they purchase unclaimed packages from Amazon, and you don't know what it is. It's just a box.
What?
Yep.
Oh my god.
So you have no idea what it is, but it's $15 each box or whatever. Somehow my niece took care of it.
Okay.
And so they bought 15 boxes
Wow.
for each person.
Yeah.
We were originally all going to pay the $15, which would have been fine, but
Yeah.
then Mom's paying for it,
Yeah.
and we're all just going to pick a random present and open it and see what it is.
That's super fun.
So we're excited about doing
And
it.
you'll obviously trade if somebody
Yeah.
agrees.
But what was funny was like when Jackie did it with her family, she's like, it was so funny how appropriate things were. Like not everybody, but almost
Okay.
everybody got something that was like
Relevant.
had to do with them. Her husband was in the army. He got like a pair of camouflage shorts. And then I forget some of the others, but almost everybody had something that was relative to them.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see.
Do you, if it was a grab, do you have like kind of grab gift go-tos?
I try to be unique.
Yeah, you're a good gift giver.
Thank you for
You
saying that. Yeah, I try to really be unique. I try to make sure it's sort of a unisex thing.
Yeah.
Like a boy will like it or a girl, whatever. I don't like to do gift cards and things like that. I just feel like that's a little bit lame. It's kind of a cop-out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've given a squatty potty.
I've done that before.
Yeah,
I've done that before.
That is a crowd pleaser.
That is a great crowd
Yeah.
pleaser. Yep, I've done that before. Mm-hmm.
Well, listen, Merry Christmas.
Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you for listening.
Merry Christmas to all of you.
And till next time.
Till next time.
And that's it for us and for this episode of Old Roommates.
Thank you for listening. Please remember to follow us on Instagram or YouTube, where we have our episodes as well as a little extra.
And if you have any questions about our show, any suggestions for movies we could revisit, reach out to us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com.
Thanks again for listening.
This is Brian.
And this is Christina. Until next time.